Hi guys, Billy back. This has just arrived, so today we're going to be talking about the Mezco 112 Thor Ragnarok Gladiator Hulk. Let's do this. Okay, super quickly, here's the front of the box, here's the side of the box, here's the back of the box, here's the other side, bottom and top. And that's it guys. Okay, we're going to go and unbox this and have a look at what we get. Okay, it's just the usual kind of packaging around the side, the 112 spot UV on here, nice big Mezco logo. Let's pop this open. I've been really looking forward to this one for quite some time now. There's been a lot of talk online about the size of this guy and how he's quite undersized for a Mezco, especially for a Hulk Mezco. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see this one because I do have the SHF Figure Arts Hulk. I also have the Hot Toys Gladiator Hulk, so be interesting to see what we actually got with this guy. I have seen some videos online and he does look pretty nice, if I'm honest. A lot of people are talking about the articulation being bad, but we'll pop him open and see what we get. Okay, he comes out, he's just in some nice wrapped plastic, well protected, that's a good sign. And he instantly stands up out of the box, which is nice. When you first get him out of the box, he's got some plastic wrapping under this arm here, so it looks like we're either going to have to cut it off or remove some of the armour and then remove that plastic. You pop the hand off, then you pop the pop the hand off, then you pop the forearm armour off, and then the bicep armour off. And then you've got this bit of material here, which is quite nice feeling, nice bit of fabric, and then you slide the plastic off and then we push this back up. Okay, and here is everything out of the box. First and foremost, I'm just going to show you the accessories and then we're going to move on to the figure himself. So you get a few hands with him. We get two open hands here, which are really nice. We've got some nice paint application all the way around the wraps here, pretty good. There's actually some texture in the hands there, which I'm surprised by. I didn't think I would be. Some nice brown wraps on here. Fingernails look pretty good. The armor looks really good actually. Nice bit of weathering, some chips in there, and some darker parts here. Get two fisted hands. One's already on him at the moment. And this is the other one I've just popped off of his hand. And then we've got this expressive claw style hand. He also comes with the hammer that actually looks like an engine block, and this is really nice. Got some really nice weathering on there. You can see there's some nice rust effect in there, and it feels quite matte and it feels quite rough. The others, they're all a bit shiny, but this one actually feels like they've made some effort to actually make it look worn and used. Some chips in the handle there, some dry brushing on the grip, slight rust effects all the way over this. Same with the axe, less shiny, more used, rusted, battered, some nicks and chunks out of the handle, grips weathered, very nice. Comes with the gripping arm that most Mezcos come with now. These are good for dynamic posing of your figures. It also comes with a stand, got the Ragnarok logo on there, and what I have noticed, and it looks like a really good idea, is they've extended that foot peg. They're usually a lot smaller and a lot shorter, and a little bit wider as well, but this one seems got a bit more length to it, so we can actually pop his foot firmly in there and keep him stood. That's been a bugbear of mine for a while from Mezco. Their little foot pegs just aren't big enough and go up into the foot enough to actually get them to stand properly. Several times on several of my Mezcos, they'll just fall over just because the foot peg isn't long enough to hold them very well. And he also comes with an accessory bag, which collectors love, and he comes with an extra head, and this is the unhelmeted version. And that's really nice. Some really nice paint application on this guy. It's definitely the most movie accurate 112 scale Hulk we've got, that's for sure. The SH Figure Arts one just looks like a generic comic book one, but this one actually looks like Mark Ruffalo Hulk. Okay, first and foremost, let's have a look at his head sculpt. This is a very nice 112 scale head sculpt of Hulk, maybe a little bit undersized. Not for this figure, but obviously for the Hulk size and 112, probably could have been done with a little bit bigger. There's some really nice weathering in that, some very nice notches and scratches all the way around the back. Go across, you see there's like nice red to black feathering on the mohawk. As we come all the way around, we can still see, still got some very nice notches and scratches in there. And the overall sculpt is really detailed. It's pretty good, to be honest. And of course, as we come into his face, you get a good look. I'll shine it up to the light. You can see there's a nice glossiness to the tongue. The teeth are much better painted than the SH Figure Arts one, and the head sculpt actually looks like Mark Ruffalo Hulk. Overall, that is a really nice head sculpt, but obviously I'm not sure if you can see, but people have said there is a little bit of discoloration between the hands and heads to the body, and I have to agree, it's a little bit. It's not so bad in hand though. When you're actually physically looking at it with your eyes, it's not so bad, and I think a lot of the photos will do this figure injustice a little bit, because there is a slight discoloration, but it's not too dramatic. Okay, and as we come down to the body, we can see the actual body is quite nice. There's a few issues, you know, people have said about his articulation being really bad, and I have to agree, it's not as good as I think Mezco could have done it. But this is their first 1/12 scale giant figure. I like to call them the giant figures, you know, your Thanoses, your Hulks, people like that. They always require a new redesigned body, and I think Mezco have done a pretty good job for their first go around, to be honest. But if we have a look now, we can see that there is some nice painting applications on the body itself, and there's the alien silver body paint is it's quite nice, it's quite detailed, and it's got good separation in there. There's not a lot of bleed off between each of the different layers there. They all seem to work in tandem with the body. It is a little bit of a shame they didn't go with the white body paint. I know this is movie accurate, and everybody has said it's movie accurate, and it is. I know it is now. But Hot Toys did it as well. They went for movie accuracy with the white, silver body paint. But secretly, I think white would have done this figure a lot more justice. The white would have made the greens pop a little more. I'm going to try and pull this up so you can have a really good look at it. When you bring it into the actual camera, you can see it's got some really nice skin texture to the body. They haven't just done a completely plastic body, they've even done a matte paint finish over it to give it a more real look, and that's much nicer than any of the other Hulks I've seen so far. Hot Toys not included in that statement. As we can see, the body armor is very well done. They've done some great work here, some excellent silver paint work all the way through. The buckles are separate from the leather looking straps. They've sculpted it to make it look more like it's some sort of leather. The separation between that and the purple paint in the middle here is flawless. There's no bleed off there at all, and there's some very nice weathering to it, and it wraps around the body and hugs the body really well. There's no loose parts here to suggest that this is just some plastic thing over another plastic thing. It looks like it's even got a dip where the back is here to curve with the contours of the body, which is really nice. I'm really glad they did that, and something that I wish that all the others had done. And they've made this shoulder armor bright poppy metallic blue, and it's very bright, and it really gives a sort of pop art feel to the figure and gives it a more comic book look. As we come down, we can see the armor here. Very nice. Feel all the textures in there, very weathered. I'm more impressed with this than I thought I'd be, considering when I saw this and I saw that it was a bit undersized for a 1/12 Mezco. I was a bit disappointed, but having it in hand is different. I think it looks a lot better, and I'm really glad I ordered this, to be honest. And that's not me kissing Mezco's ass. If I wanted to, I could easily rip this a living new a-hole. So far, it hasn't disappointed. As we come down, we can see that unlike all of the others, they've used mixed media in the lower half of his body for, I don't know, would you call it a loincloth? Probably a loincloth, isn't it? But there's plastic belt across there, and there's some sort of like fabric with different pleather print on there, different textures going along the sides here. Bring around to the side, it comes all the way around the back, and there's even like a sort of stretchy pleather-like material, the blue version, just on the back here, and it works really well. And that's what I was hoping we'd get a bit more out of with all the others, but we didn't. We just got sculpted armor made out of some sort of rubber-like material, which is a shame, because I think these guys have actually done a bit of work here, and they've done a few mixed pieces, and it works a lot better, to be honest. Okay, and here are the knees, and this can be a bone of contention for some people. I know the Hot Toys one was a bit of a difficult one for everybody because they use the same knees from all the other Hot Toy Hulks. But this one, I was really interested in this one because I thought that in their prototype versions that they nailed the knees a lot better than the Hot Toys did. And that was they brought the line down underneath the kneecap and introduced it into the body a little bit better. So it flows a little bit better on the eyes as you come down. You can see it still looks like a pair of legs, and it doesn't look like it's got really ugly joints in there, or not as much anyway. And I really like that. And they've done some nice, very subtle but nice shading inside the thighs there, and you can see the skin texture running all the way throughout. But you can see there's nice sandals, got really good straps, really good weathering on there. They look dirty and dusty, and all the paint applications, there's no bleed off. They actually look solid. And this is what I like about Mezco. In 1/12 scale, it's really hard not to have things blend into each other paint-wise. But they seem to do a really good job with making sure that each one has a really good paint job on. And it's the same with this. But as you can see, as we come down, have a look at the feet. See, there is a really minor colour variation between the body and the hands, feet and heads. And here he is with the unhelmeted, short-haired head put on the body. And I think it's a little bit more obvious from this head that there is a slight bit of a colour variation between the body and head. So I think the helmeted head would work a lot better with this. It is a really nice sculpted head sculpt. It looks like Mark Ruffalo Hulk. It really does. And it's still got the face paints on there. It's got a very good paint blend between the skin into the hair. And it's a really well painted head. It's just a shame that there is a shade of difference between the body and the head. There has been a lot of talk online. You can see the reviews that have come onto YouTube already about this guy. A lot of the things that I'm going to say have already been said by a lot of people, but I would say that a lot of the issues that people have been highlighting are, to me, not that important. For example, there's a lot of people online that are saying that he's a bit of a statue. Well, I've got him into a pose here. It's quite a nice pose. I could probably get him into a few more. So the fact that he isn't as poseable as an SH Figure Arts isn't really that big a problem for me. I expected it. When I saw the prototype, I saw there was no ab crunch. I saw that there was, only one joint in the arms. I saw that there would probably be restrictions around the feet. I saw all of that when I first saw the prototype, so I was expecting it. One of the main problems a lot of people have, I think, is the colour of the head, hands and feet do not match the body. Now, there's probably a really interesting story behind that, and I'd like to find that out. As hobbyists, I think we all would like to know where the problem arose, because as people have shown online, the heads themselves are really nicely sculpted. They're great. The hands are great. The feet are fantastic. All of it is really good. It's just that there is a bit of a colour drop between the hands, feet and head and the body. And I think that's probably something to do with them being made in different factories maybe. Maybe there was a problem with the colour of the body and they had to go back and repaint the whole thing, and maybe they had to reuse a different batch of green, God knows. But in hand, when you're looking at him like this, I don't see much of a problem. It really does shine up in pictures though, and it really does highlight on video the problems that this guy has, and I understand why people are a bit miffed about that, and I get it. But to the naked eye, it isn't as bad, and I have a funny feeling that maybe when they were going through the QC checks on this, it just didn't occur to them, because it isn't as big an obvious thing as photos and videos make it out to be. But it is a problem, and I totally understand why people are a bit miffed. And the other biggest, and by biggest I mean the smallest in a way, problem is the fact that he is just not that big compared to the rest of the Mezco line. He isn't big enough. I mean, if I slide this over a little bit and I bring the SHF Figure Arts, bearing in mind SHF figures are usually smaller. They're always a little bit smaller than Mezco, and the fact that I can bring this guy in, when I bring him in, if I stand him up straight, you can clearly see this is a bigger figure than this. And it's such a shame, because I really think that the way Mezco's 112 line is slightly oversized for 112, and that's possibly because of the clothing and all the accessories and all these types of things. They have to put it all together. If they try to shrink it anymore, then they're going to have a major problem putting real fabric on those figures. The fact is that they are usually bigger than SHF figures, and the fact that this SHF Hulk is bigger than the Mezco Hulk is, it's a disappointment. It definitely is a disappointment. But for me, it's not such a big deal. He's still big, he's still weighty, he's still chunky. I would have liked him to be bigger, of course I would. I definitely would. But it is a little bit of a letdown that he isn't. Putting that aside, if you don't have the SHF Gladiator Hulk, or you don't have the Marvel Select Hulk, you're not really going to notice those kinds of differences. It's only when you put them next to each other. So if you collect these Hulks, then you're going to have a bit of a problem maybe. But if you're only getting one of these, it's not even going to be an issue because he's still bigger than all the other Mezco figures. So he will, in actual fact, still look like an impressive piece on your shelf. Just maybe not as impressive as he could be. A lot of people have said that they like the head, the hands and the feet colour, and they really think that the green on Mezco body is just too bright and it's just too richly green, and they just don't like it, and there's not enough shading in there. But for me, under this lighting, I actually really like the colour of the body. I like the colour palette that they have chosen for this guy, which is a brighter, more pop arty feel for him, which is what I wanted from my Gladiator Hulk to begin with. I still like the SHF Figure Arts one. He's a brilliant poser and he's great, but I think the colours are a little duller, and they're a little bit more washed out, and some people might like that, but I much prefer the rich, deeper colours of the Mezco one. In terms of posing, I've managed to get a couple of poses out of the Mezco one, quite a few, and you know, he does what I need him to do. Some people might need him to be in super action battle mode. If that's the case, then really you should be going for the SH Figure Arts Gladiator Hulk to begin with, because you want something to be super posable. So this is the guy for you. The other disappointing thing about this is the accessories, or the weaponry shall we say. The size of the hammer and the size of the axe are just too small, but they're brilliantly painted. They are. They're probably the nicest painted 112 Gladiator Hulk accessories that you can get right now. They're solid, they're firm, they're very well painted. There's this lovely rust effect to them. They've got this real dirty metal style to them, and they look a little bit dusty as well. They look like they're in use. They've got lots of notches and scratches on there, and they are superb. I think they're definitely the best painted Gladiator Hulk accessories you can buy. Just a little bit undersized. When you stand there and you have a look at the hammer here to that size, to the size of this one here, you can easily see that there is a size difference, and it's a little bit disappointing that you couldn't get a better size comparison there. So I totally get it. Now, I knew all this going in because I saw the reviews, so none of this is a real big surprise to me. I expected it. So when I unboxed him and had a look at everything, all I was looking at really was how nice the entire package is, how great the colouring is, how great the weathered weapons are, and how fantastic the two head sculpts are. It is just a shame that the colours of the head and the hands are a little bit off, but they're not so off that I think a lot of people will, like, if they came into your room and saw your collection, I doubt most of them to the naked eye would look at your Gladiator Hulk and go, oh, the head and the hands are a different colour. That's just the case of it. But to us, because we've pointed it out and the reviewers have pointed it out and highlighted it, it becomes a bit of a bigger problem. But for me, I really like it. One of the main issues, it's the same with the SHF one, and it's the axe accessory. And you can see that there is a point on the end of the axe, whereas it was a double-bladed axe in the film. Now, I was curious as to why both these guys had this same inaccurate weapon, and it comes down to the trailer. If you go back and have a look on Google Images, you'll see at certain points the Gladiator Hulk has a pointed axe, and it turns out that during production, originally this is what the axe looked like, but during, I don't know what it was, reshoots we'll call it, or rejigging of the scenes maybe, they've swapped the axe to a double-bladed one. So you can kind of understand. I think Mezco doesn't have as much of an excuse as maybe the SA Figure Arts one, because this one came out nearly a year ago, and they were trying to get it out early-ish. So they were already well into production with it. This guy was delayed for nearly a year. I mean, he's only just coming out now, and we've seen the movie about 100 times. They had, I think, a bit more time to be able to rejig that, and they didn't. So that is a shame. The arm that he's got, the Thor Ragnarok arm, I just saw Shamus Prime's video, and I was surprised to see that he'd managed to work it so that it just about held this Hulk, and I was a bit nervous, but it did just hold him up somehow. I don't know how he did it. I think it was just like he used it like a crotch grabber, and it sort of it rested on the inside of his legs there. It just held him up so that he was in a bit of a jumping pose. But it's not ideal, and it's probably not the best way to do it, because I don't think that arm will last very long with this, because the sheer weight of this guy is much heavier than this guy. So I am not entirely sure why they even bothered including that. I know they do it with every figure, so it's likely they included the bag because they always include the bag, and they included the arm because maybe you'll have him standing off to the side, and maybe you'll have another figure on the stand and that's doing a jumping pose. Maybe Thor will be doing a jumping pose towards him, but then we all know Thor's going to come with a stand, and he's also going to come with that arm as well. So I'm not entirely sure what they were thinking. It's always nice to have more accessories than less. And let's just have a quick look at that head. See that this unhelmeted head sculpt, it's really good as well. Now I've got a funny feeling there are going to be many repaints of this guy over the next coming year, and that's when I think people will start to get excited, when they see a few repaints and they see what people can do with these sculpts and that body, and I think we'll be quite impressed by what you can do with him. But coming out of the box, I can understand a little bit why people were disappointed. I'm not. I really like this guy, and he's going to look fantastic on my shelf next to my Gladiator Thor when I get him. I might even swap over and have this guy posed with the SH Figure Arts Thor, and I have this guy posed with the Mezco Thor. We can see size-wise probably more in line with this Mezco Hulk than he is with the SH Figure Arts. You know, I'm actually tempted to be able to see if there's nothing I can do about, like the helmeted head. I don't think there's much I can do. He has that silver face paint on, and it would be very difficult to try and repaint that. But I think there is probably something we could do with the feet and hands, and it'd probably be quite a simple solution. Finding the right green, add to these hands a little bit. It wouldn't even be much. It might even just be a dry brushing, and that would actually bring that color up a little bit and be able to match the body a little better. So I'll be curious to see if anybody comes up with a solution for that. Another issue he has is when he is holding this hammer, there is a slight issue with the gripping of this hand. This bottom part doesn't really grip that well, so it starts to swing like that. Pretty soon you're going to be walking past him on your shelf, and it's just going to be leaning inwards like that a little bit. So the chances are, and that is a bit of a shame. The axe on the other hand, he holds absolutely fine, no issues. It's just the sheer top weight of this pulls on the bottom of this, and this bottom hand here doesn't have enough grip to hold it. And just for giggles, here he is with the SH Figure Arts Age of Ultron Hulk, and here he is posed with the SHF Gladiator Thor. I really like this pose. There's something about it. He's got him standing back. He'll be able to tilt his body back quite a bit actually, so he looks like he's about to punch upwards. He's got Thor by the leg, and he's about to ruin his entire day. I really like this pose. In terms of movement, I really like how much movement you can get out of him. You can always have more, obviously, but so far, every pose that I've wanted to have him in so far, I've been able to do. It might have taken a couple of minutes longer than I thought, but I've still been able to do it. I really like how accurate the sculpt and the style is. The skin texture is really good. It's just, I know the flaws. Don't get me wrong, I do know them, and I understand why people don't like it. But when I've got him here, standing there, with grabbing that SH Figure Arts Gladiator Thor like he does, and he looks like he's about to smash the living life out of him, it just looks great to me. It makes me smile. I really like it. Let's just bring in Tiger Stripe Wolverine there, and you can see Tiger Stripe Wolverine is quite chunky. But you know, he's still bigger than Wolverine, so that's fine. Here is the Mezco Deadpool, Marvel Legends head sculpt on there. And you can see that, you know, he still towers over the pair of them, no problem. However, he could be bigger. And if we bring in the SH Figure Arts one behind the Mezcos, this is the kind of size that they should have been going for, if not bigger than him, because then he gets to dwarf. He should be about this tall, and then he would be dwarfing all of them. Absolutely. But if you can just get past the size, I think you're in with a winning chance of actually liking this figure. Those are my views on the figure, to be honest. I'd like to be able to sit here all day and talk about him, but that's about it. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you could do me a favour now, if you could just get the fuck out of the cave, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.